Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast, the first trophy-winning podcast of the season. With me to talk through a fantastic moment in Liverpool's season, I've got the full A team. I've got Sai, I've got Hamzah, and I've got Dr Barts. So how are we all feeling, boys, the morning after the night before?
I'll quickly get in. It was a great time. It's phenomenal. I'm the one that cares least about the cups, but only until you get to the final. And on the final, you want to win that bloody. Do you want to win that day? You already cost yourself what you cost yourself. You might as well bloody win. And it's Chelsea. Who doesn't hate those filthy dogs?
I loved it, Darth. As you know, my neighbour is a Chelsea fan, so I took particular pleasure of going and taking his Chelsea flag down off his house. So there you go.
And Hamzah, did you finish work in time?
I missed the first 15 minutes because of the pressers at the Wolves match, but got to watch the rest. But yeah. I think Simon's sort of enthusiasm speaks for itself, given he absolutely hates cups and he's smiling.
Absolutely, yes. I can confirm Simon is smiling.
This is a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, before we go into the matches, we're going to cover Luton relatively briefly as well. But before we do that, we do have to talk once more at the start of the pod about the fitness situation, injuries and new injuries, unfortunately. But I just also want to say thanks to Barts and Sai for doing such a fantastic job on the last week's pod when we after Brentford, and such a really spookily accurate, I would say, diagnoses and prognoses, guys. So well done. That was really good stuff.
I can.
You must be experts. So who knew?
I can only say thank you and pretend I remember.
Oh dear me! But
get to an age. You're even a bit older than me. They get to an age where it's like I have this book in my brain and there's one empty white page. Every day I can fill it in, and then there's just one empty page left. So the next day I have to rub it out and then fill it in again. And like, I don't remember. It doesn't get stored. All the rest of it is just there. It's so weird.
The bit you got to worry about is when all the previous pages start getting ripped out and shredded, and you can't remember that there. Anyway, not yet. Hopefully.
Not yet, mate.
Right. But okay, let's start with those new injuries. Ryan Gravenberch and Endo, both done by Moises Caicedo, the dirty twat. Sai, what do we know about them?
I don't think Endo's particularly injured. I think he was wearing a light boot. There was some Twitter debate about what it really means.
From non-experts, I'm going to say that was,
but sometimes people have just had experiences and they're just sharing their experiences and they're valid. It doesn't mean to say that they know exactly the diagnoses or the prognoses, but it's just in their experience, they've experienced this thing and it's similar.
It was like when Gags, when Hendo had his plantar fasciitis, and Gags said, "Oh, I have had that," and talked about his experience with it. And stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Having to change his trainers.
I forgot about Hendo's plantar fasciitis. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So Endo, you think is what? Hopefully going to be nothing.
I think it's just
It's just a kick in it. I think it's just a kick at the end of the game, isn't it?
I think he was just fried. So a little insight to members of the paying public, the people that don't get to go to games. I'm sure Hamzah will see this now when he's around dugouts and tunnels, that if the 28 players or 30 players that come off the pitch, it's very, very likely that 15 of them have some kind of bruise or some kind of knock that they're limping into the changing rooms with.
Yeah.
And that's just going to be exacerbated by playing 134 minutes of football and going up and down the stairs and all that stuff in the heightened state of arousal that they're in, the adrenaline flowing. If you watched at the end of the game, the celebration, which was amazing, that Grav was walking, Grav couldn't walk with.
Neither could Harvey, to be fair.
Yeah.
They were, it's just, I think it's so correct me if I'm wrong, but it's that at that type of level, given the situation we're in now as well, I think we're doing anything we can to mitigate, try and reduce that, any inflammation, any little knots. We try and do anything to try and mitigate future impacts of that. Bendo's got a little knot there, just whacked him in that as a bit of a precaution, try and help with swelling, anything to get him ready, to get him sorted quicker than he could have been.
Right.
If it wasn't 120 minutes, he probably walks off. But I think it's the fact that it's a full game. He's a barely walking. Let's just deload it a little bit and help him with the recovery straight away. And that's
hopefully the very worst case is a minor bruise on his foot.
Yeah, I don't know whether was it an air one? Was it an ice one? I didn't see the exact boot. If it was,
it was an air boot.
Was it air, right? Because some of them come with can get like ice put for them. So cold coolant for them, which helps even more. If it's just air, then that's even more says to me. It's just a knock. They're just trying to speed up the recovery.
Just to compress it, is it?
Yeah. Just trying to alleviate.
Okay. And the other one, by the way, I've been told to call him Moises Crycedo for this, by the way. But that was my popular demand. Anyway, the Ryan Gravenberch one, I thought, that ref, it was in the first 20 minutes, wasn't it? But that ref, that was borderline red, I thought.
Yeah. I thought, given that that was about his third foul, I thought he was very fortunate not to already be on a booking.
Yeah.
And then that would have been a red. I'm not sure. I think that might have been, I'm not saying it's an orange card. I'm not sure it's a full red. I'm not sure it's a full.
It would have been a blue one maybe in the new rules. Yeah.
But the problem I had with that whole situation was he's already kicked two of our players in the first 5-10 minutes and they were yellows. And then he comes over and takes Grav out of the game. Yeah. Now, whether you're saying it's accidental or not, it's kind of immaterial. The guy's out of the game because of he's rolled his ankle because of the force from Quansah. So, I don't think that was a definite red for the challenge, but it should have been in the context of that first 15 minutes. Clearly, he was fired up.
And Caicedo's foot went fully on top of Gravenberch's with his full, and he was extended, and there was force coming into his foot, and he was right on the top of it. Was it the top, just the foot, or was it the ankle as well, Barts? What did you see?
I thought it was in the shaft, if you like, just above ankle joint from the side, pushing force through, calling ankle sprain, not a high sprain, but it looked like he forced him to roll his ankle. If it had been any more force, I think Grav move his leg at last minute or something like that, which prevented it from being completely fixed.
Yeah, he wasn't planted. It
wasn't planted, which you could have said any more for. Could have saved him a potentially fractured ankle, but I think for me that's a serious sprain. For me, I wouldn't like to say prognosis, but given he went off on a stretcher and he was already in crutches by half time, doesn't suggest to me that's a.
So do you think in sprained ligaments like Jones but lower down? Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was high sprain. I would have said normal ankle sprain because the motion is like a roll, if you like, under extreme force, but still a sprain. Prognosis for me is, I wouldn't suggest he's going to be back till after international break.
Yeah. So another one for the end of March then. Yeah, yay. Si.
So I'm a little bit more positive about that. I think the way he was walking after the game, even full of adrenaline, he was really bad at using crutches. So he he didn't put his
True.
crutches down to offset the weight, which is the reason they exist. He was literally walking up and then downstairs, putting his full weight on his boot. He is not doing that if he's got any significant ankle sprain.
Yeah,
there's definitely no break.
It's no break.
I'll be amazed if it's anything beyond a 1. I wouldn't be surprised. Everybody has these in their team. Let's say he got scared by the initial pain, and don't get me wrong, studs on bone on the top of your foot really fucking hurt. And I think it's that more than anything else. I'm not sure there is even much ankle ligament damage, because he just wouldn't be able to walk around like he was. No limp. You look at CJ getting barged out of the way and almost having his ankle broken by Darwin, because he couldn't move at that time. And and that was a week ago, and you don't have that from in the game from Grav. So I think Grav will be fine.
Okay, good stuff. Right, now the other one was our 3 absentees, big players, or the muscular ones, was Mo Salah, Darwin Núñez, and Dominic Szoboszlai, and none of them made the bench. Dom apparently revealed to his Hungarian sources that apparently he had stand-up rows with the doctors about this. He wanted to play. As you always say, players want to play all the time, especially in finals. So the question is, Si, none of them came on at all because they didn't play at all against Chelsea. In an ideal world, how do you manage those 3 players from this position? Because we're 2 games a week now until the international break, and then we're 2 games a week from the international break pretty much for the rest of the season.
One of them's going to play tomorrow, I'd imagine, or Wednesday, whenever it is. I have no idea at their current loading status who's been in full-time training yet, because they've kept it really, really quiet. Klopp deliberately kept everybody out of the training ground. So the 3 preceding training sessions where Zobo, Darwin, or Mo might have come back for, no one talked about. No one knows who.
Did they have the privacy screen up? Did they the whole time?
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah. And they weren't releasing photos of trainer or anything, so nobody could. So Chelsea couldn't prepare around having those lads available or not. So we don't know if they were available, if they were in training or not. My guess is at some point having we've played more minutes this season at game week 28 than at any time in Klopp's tenure.
Yeah. Because the games are longer.
Games are longer, but like that, we're 2,000 minutes more than any other, and we're 7,000 more than some. There's a lot of games.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of internationals in our team. So just if you add up all of the minutes all of our players have played at this point of the season, it's a lot compared to previous seasons. So I think maybe he's gone, okay, I know we've got lots of impact injuries recently, but if you look at our five or 6 world-class players, and I'm putting Darwin right close in there, he's, you want him in your team desperately. So we've got Thiago, you've got Mo Salah, you've got
Trent.
Yeah, we've got Trent in there, but Ali is who I was going with.
Yeah, Ali,
and Zobo. So take Trent out, you've got 5 hamstrings. Then you've got an LCL, which is non-contact as well. So we've got 6 fatigue-related non-contact injuries. You've got some that are contact injuries, but not all. But lots of people get kicked without getting, and they get straight back up. Like, it's not like fatigue doesn't play any role in those things either.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we've made a pragmatic choice finally, which was an interesting time to do it, but the gamble paid off. We've been gambling all over the place right now, and maybe we're still all our chips in on winning all of the competitions.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think they did the media really well pre the final. They only released indoor training shots, so you saw the gym work. There was no outdoor shots from Wednesday onwards. So that's kind of the keep we got. But I would suspect, we don't know. I think their side's right. They've kept them back because after the high of Luton, that's a pretty big motivational group there. You think about how you manage that group. They've just done that for you in the second half against Luton. You can get them prepped. You can get them ready to go again at the weekend for a cup final. Big motivation. And then the risk is that it doesn't pay off when we lose the cup final, but the reward is those 3 return for Forest and City.
Yeah.
So the risk was that it would blow up in his face at the weekend, and he couldn't. But he backed himself as a human being and a fantastic manager to get that group of lads that he'd motivated on a Wednesday night against Luton, 1-0 down at half time, to go and do it again at the weekend to win the cup. And then he's going to ride that now because he's got 3 big boys potentially coming back ready for the 2 big important league games for the break. That's not a bad gamble to make.
Yeah. Do you think then we might see all 3 players for 60 minutes from the start against Notts Forest?
No.
No?
No, I think we might see 1.
Okay. And the other one maybe come on as a sub. The other 2 comes on as subs, or
I think we might get 1 that plays 50 something, and then maybe Darwin and Mo swap, and Zobbo will come on for 30 probably at the end.
Okay. Do you think any of them do you think we'll see any of them against Southampton?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think they'll risk Darwin against Southampton, but me personally.
Okay.
I would absolutely.
You wouldn't play him.
We've had our cup fun. We've had our cup fun. The implications of this are they are very real if we win this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Against Forest. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, he's talking about Saints.
No, against. I'm talking if we get. Yeah, the ramifications of winning against Southampton, the extra games we're going to get because of it, and how moved. That condenses the schedule.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think everybody knows how tight our squad is now, and the injuries we've every season. The rate of injury from week 25 increases.
Yeah, the
number of injuries per week on average every season across Klopp's tenure, and this is the first season in his history that at game week 28 we've had 200 injuries or more.
Wow,
twice. Yeah. So every other season we've had once 200 in the horrendous season. But all around there, it was 100 and something, low hundreds. And this season, we're off the back of 260 at this point last year. Newer squad, got rid of a whole bunch of groks, but we're already at 216.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of it was just Thiago, to be fair, but there you go. That's a different story.
Thiago and Bajcetic, and then Darwin.
Yeah, absolutely. The other one is fatigue index site. You posted in the chat this morning, and your quote was, "It's like a war zone." So how would you, if you're a sports scientist at LFC right now, and you're looking at the loading on the players, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, how do we mitigate this? One, I did a whole podcast about this, by the way, with one of the England S&Cs that got released today. You mitigate it by reducing training load.
Yeah.
But we're playing 2 games a week, so there's no training to mitigate.
Yeah.
So all you can do is, at this point, you can just stick your fingers in a plug socket and sit and hope for the best.
Play lots of teenagers.
Well, you can't, because you're going to win.
Yeah.
That's when you do it early in the season.
Yeah.
When we're in shitty cups. At this point, you can't play the kids because you're trying to win every game.
I mean, I think there might be quite a few teenagers against Southampton. I think we might see a lot of these lads again. We shall see anyway. It's only a couple of days to go.
The only problem you got there, Darth, is that it's not a domino effect per se, but not having Dom in the rotation option means you've had to increase load on other players that aren't quite ready. So therefore, things have happened.
Well, now we've potentially got three midfielders out of the 6 now in the rotation. Now.
Okay, so we need to at some point go no, just play a set of kids against Saints, but. There'll be motivations in there. As I said, they want to win the game. It's at home. It's last season.
Yeah,
going to be difficult to manage.
Yeah, I mean, you're testing even the cyborgs now. You're testing Elliott and Endo. I mean, how many more times can you play them without them?
Yeah, and he referenced Harvey in the post-match presser.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't be maybe he.
I mean, Harvey doesn't have an injury history. That's one of his biggest strengths, right? His availability is excellent.
It is. I mean, it might be something to do with the speed he can run at, but I mean, that's been a bit harsh on the lad. But
But it's also to do with the amount of games he's played relative. Like he's had one big season. This season is his second biggest of his career, and he's basically 2,500 minutes. So he's gonna get past a full season's worth of minutes this season for sure. As fifth, sixth, seventh choice midfielder.
Yeah, and you compare him to Michael Owen at the same age, right? Who's another teenage prodigy coming through. The minutes are incomparable, right? Fowler, incomparable minutes. So Harvey's sort of built that up over a period of time, hasn't he?
Yeah. No, so I'm not worried about Harvey. Harvey could break because anybody can break when they're having to have played. He's played 200 minutes this week.
Yeah.
He's also played game after game after game, which is something he's not necessarily done.
In 5 days, he's played 258 minutes.
That's mad. Right. Okay. So it's going to be a challenge right now, right on the international break, and we will see what happens with that Everton fixture, if it gets moved or not. There you go. Anyway, on to some matches. Hamzah, thanks for being patient. But some exciting stuff in these two matches. We effectively have a new 11 to analyse for these two games, right? I can't remember the last time that happened. How did those different players with those different skill sets fit into our conventional 4-3-3 system?
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
I do make everything about me.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
That meeting could have been an email.
It's the President's Day sale at Mattress Firm. Save up to $500 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets and get a $300 gift toward pillows and more, all with free and fast delivery. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
Yeah, well, the Chelsea match is interesting because you see a few different things being used in the first period until the Grav injury and then a few changes afterwards. For example, there are a couple of, teams often build up in different shapes during the game, just because of where the ball is on the pitch, how the opposition is set up, how you want to sort of move them around. In that against Chelsea, until the Grav injury, you actually saw a classic 2-3 structure at some point. So the one that you'd see 2 seasons ago from Liverpool, 2 centre-backs, Endo as a 6, and then both full-backs wide. And then you'd also see at the same time Robertson coming in a bit deeper to create a back 3, and then Endo and McAllister sitting tight together as Bradley pushed on. And then later on, you saw Bradley moving inside as well. So you actually saw a few different build-up shapes, just at the back end of the pitch. So a few different things there. You also got to see different players interpreting roles differently. So like Bradley, for example, because of his natural athleticism and his ability to get up and down, and the way that he likes to play wide, and Harvey Elliott, for example, who was also playing on the right side, but initially as a forward and then as a midfielder, how Harvey Elliott likes to play on the inside as a left-footed player who's not as quick. You saw that nice sort of dovetailing of attributes. So one player goes on the outside, one comes inside. A bit more sort of classic sort of 4-3-3, 18-19 Klopp style football. So that was a number of different things you could see taking place.
What about
what
about I know in the Luton game as well, Hamzah, as well, with the Diaz, Gakpo and Elliott from 3. How did you see the blend of the 3 players with the role? We've always talked about you need the right blend of roles, playing to suit the roles within the 11. How did you see us across the 2 games with that front 3?
Yeah, well, they especially Diaz and Gakpo, they swap around a lot, which is quite cool. You see Gakpo moving left, Diaz into the middle, Diaz dropping deep, Gakpo dropping deep. So it poses a few different questions, especially when a team sits back. And within the first half of that Luton game, even though it felt a bit stickier than it was on first watch compared to rewatch, they moved quite nicely, interchanged quite well, linked with Grav quite well on the left side with Diaz, and then Mac also was he's one of those players that is everywhere as well, not necessarily getting into the box, but everywhere between the boxes, linking play really well. So yeah, I thought that worked quite well again. But again, it was the same sort of dynamic on the right side. Elliott coming inside, Bradley overlapping, Diaz swapping around a bit with Gakpo. But yeah,
because in a classic 4-3-3, it was more the V up front with Bobby dropping in, and then Salah and Mane with the width and the pace ahead of him and the penetration. Mm-hmm. Did you see? How did you see? Because obviously Diaz was the one who was trying to be the most penetrative player, I thought, in both games. How did you see Cody and Harvey adapting?
So often when Liverpool built up deep, because Chelsea pressed in a sort of semi-passive way at times, there was an opportunity to play the passing behind, and it was usually Diaz that would go on to that. Yeah. But in those moments, often Gakpo and Elliott would come deep to try and drag their opponent with them to create space. There's a few similar moments like that. I thought they pressed quite well together. So I think there's an example in the 14th minute of the Chelsea match where Gakpo is playing at centre forward. He presses to the Chelsea right back, Gusto. And wins the ball from the goalkeeper's pass out. And at that point, before he's even won it, Diaz has made the run inside to move into the centre forward position. Gakpo plays him in, and he gets a shot off eventually. But they were more willing to let Diaz be the player that runs in behind. Gakpo was also offering a bit more of a aerial sort of presence as well. Something I think that he's sort of learning how to do a bit more. Yeah, to contest those balls. I wouldn't say he's necessarily a big aerial sort of threat in the same way that Firmino was, but he's learning that sort of at the moment.
Yeah, but it was exciting stuff. It's always looked to analyse new players with new skill sets, isn't it, in the systems? But Barts, let's, before we move on to discuss the Luton match in a little bit more detail, give us that match summary for Luton. And that second half was a hell of a stats performance, right, on the stats line.
Yeah, a bit of a change. I mean, overall picture, if you look at the overall summary, it's 57 versus 42-ish per possession, touches with dominant, shots 29-12 with 8 off target versus 3, 14 on target versus 4, 1 each in the 6-yard box. We had 20 in their penalty box and they only had 6. Outside the box 9-6 and big chances 6-1. Obviously the goals 4-1. XG 3.31 versus 1.04. EPV 0.96 for us and 0.51 for them. So not a massive difference. Conversion though obviously is going to be higher for us. We were 340%. They were 209. Field tilt was 70-30, which, as a top level, you think, okay, that's fairly dominant, but it's actually not. When you start breaking it down by 15s, it's not until you turn to that second half period where we really start to see some dominance. That first half an hour, our possession goes up towards the high 60s, to their lower 30s. Field tilt switches 100 for 46-60, the 100% versus 0. So it tells you the dominance of that period of time, in which we also curated 3 big chances and 2 goals. So when you start breaking it down on that granular level, you start to see that period, that first half an hour of the half time, we really did go up a level. Our APV conversion is up at around 600%. So we are converting threat to XG at a phenomenally high rate. And conversely drops through the floor from being equal with us down to about 100%. So yeah, it's that really tells it. And then the good thing that I thought I quite liked, I always like when we do this, you can see us go back down the gears for the last 15 through to full time. We've got the win. We flip back down, and the possession goes back to being equal again. Field tilt goes back to being roughly the same. It just all triggers back down. And if you look at the passing chains, that's when we start using the longer chain. So we start keeping the ball for 15 plus. Whereas in that first 30 after half time, it's variety. Yeah. It's short, medium, long, and very long when we need it to. Just to finish off summary for you, probability 85% for a win for us, not a big shock. 3-1 was actually the highest probable score at 12%.
All right, okay. But yeah, two XG and four big after half time and 4 XG four big chances to nil. It was just it was a hell of a second half. Second half. And the atmosphere was rather good at Anfield as well for this one, especially in the second half. Anyway, so Si, you were working for this one. You missed the game live. You watched it back afterwards, and you weren't particularly bothered about the first half as much as everybody else in the world seemed to be.
Not at all. As my wife explained it, it's just the first half came with frustration. It felt like one of those days, which I don't tend to get. I don't have that feeling because I mostly, my brain works that if our process is good, at some point the outcome's going to be good.
Yeah.
So one of those days would suggest you were getting chances by playing through, and we absolutely were. Luton didn't set up very smartly. It was almost like Bournemouth of old.
It was a lot of opportunity there.
And we were just ripping straight through them, getting one-on-ones and just missing them.
They weren't like a deep low block encounter, were they? It was like Rob Edwards is definitely, I think he knows there's a job vacancy coming soon. He wants to maybe get some shortlists or get an interview at least and stuff. He was definitely throwing bouquets everywhere at Anfield and his press conferences as well. So
yeah. I explained it as a little bit like how we talk about Champions League games when we play against the champions of lesser countries. Let's say they only have one way of playing. And is to try to win. And they don't know how to low block or to defend. So they didn't bother trying.
Yeah.
So it was kind of easy for us. We just missed a lot in the first half.
Well, one player missed a lot. It was Luis Diaz. It was literally just
one player missed a lot. Yeah. But only one player was really the one getting inside the box, which is Luis Diaz. So what I find really interesting, I would like to give him quite a lot of credit, to be fair, that since Mo left, that he's been the one. He's the least credit of any of the forwards, and he's been absolutely shouldering the burden of the playing time. So he'd only played 4 complete games all season before Mo went away, and he's played of the last 11 games. He has played at least 90 in 8 of them.
Wow.
And he's been like. None of the other forwards are even remotely close to that. Yeah. And so, he's been bludgeoned. And I think he's he's forging his way back into the player that we bought. Like, even in this game, he's not a clinical finisher. That's not his game. It's not who he is. But he's being, he wants the decisive moment. It looks like he's chasing the decisive moment. We've kind of, inverted how we've been playing this season, and it's flipped from the right hand side, how typically we would have the creator and the connector coming on from the left hand side, and so Mane would be deeper, and then Bobby would be the rotation, and Mane would go past him, but Mo would always be the highest up the pitch. We've swapped those around now, with Harvey playing, swap the sides over. And because there's no real lethal finisher without Darwin or Mo to get on the end of the things in the box, that killer, the guy that's patterns are designed to end up with, is Diaz.
Yeah,
and his shot volume would suggest that that's happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of the concern was based on the fact that the fans know that the 3 main goal scorers were all out. And then the team only had 15 Premier League goals between them at the starting 11. at the start of the match. And, it just that first half when you're seeing the chances being missed. I mean, there was one that was a really nice through ball from Harvey and Elliott, and he just sticks it wide. I think, does he stick it wide or does he stick it over anyway? But he doesn't stick it in the net anyway.
Oh, it was saved. And that was the best version of the chances he had. It was a lovely reverse pass from Harvey.
Yeah.
And he swiveled, cut inside, beat a man and put it down to the right-hand corner of keeper and saved it.
Yeah.
But earlier he'd missed one. Harvey got through and it didn't end up as a shot. We had a lot of those where we broke their back line and then it just looked like an opposite of a Liverpool kind of attack.
Yeah, it did. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't the killer, like the team of killers that we've had so much in the Klopp. Was it?
No, exactly. Yeah. But I just wanted to point out that Diaz's conversion rate is ostensibly the exact same as Darwin's.
Yeah.
So Diaz and Darwin both have 12% shot conversion this season.
Yeah. Hamzah, you talked about some patterns of play looking ahead to the Chelsea game. How did you see our patterns of play in this first half particular, and also then the Luton goal? Can you just talk to us about the issues you saw with that?
Yeah, I think I mentioned in the group chat that when I was watching, it felt, and this may chime in with what people felt at the time and may actually be the opposite of what Simon saw, but after roughly around 20 minutes in, it felt like the team just lacked a little bit of composure and leadership. And the point that I raised was that the amount of players in that particular 11 that had experience of a must-win match before, would have just been. And when I say must-win, I mean like title race.
Oh every match.
Yeah, matters, so Gomez, Van Dijk, McAllister's played in the World Cup final, and Diaz as well, because he was part of that team that sort of was part of the quadruple season. Other than that, the rest hadn't really been involved in a match with. They've had pressure matches before, but not in the sort of, if you lose ground here, then there are big consequences. And it felt like and that's no fault of their own, that you can only build that through experience. It felt like that weight did hold a bit heavy on a few players.
Yeah.
They were forcing passes. They were playing a bit too quickly. They weren't settling into the match, taking shots from positions that they shouldn't have taken them from. I mean, if you look at the shot map, there's just a handful from outside the box in the first half.
Yeah.
Grav, Elliott, Gomez, Gakpo, and Diaz. Just where there would have been better opportunities to just work it with a bit more patience. But and
it was all compounded by Luton taking the lead as well, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. And their goal came from a quick throw-in. The throw-in from on their left side into Chong. So Chong came in and then out. When I say in and out, I mean he went into the touchline and then ran towards a box. The player that took the throw-in received the ball back from Chong, played it into Carlton Morris, who was holding off Quansah, then played it infield. And Chong, this wasn't the only time he found some space between the lines. There's a few examples a bit earlier as well of him doing that when Liverpool were in negative transition. But again, when you don't have full sort of, it's interesting I say this because it doesn't quite count in the next match. When you don't have a lot of time playing together, this can often happen where you don't understand exactly the positions where you should be. But he found a bit of space between the lines, got the shot off, and it managed to squeeze under Kelleher in a kind of awkward way and then go to the back post. It's not Gomez's fault that he didn't win that. It was just not react in that moment. But
it was. I think it was one Kelleher would want back, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I think if he could just try and get a better block or parry it wide or just get a firm, just gather it firmly instead of, but it just squirmed, it sort of ricocheted loose, didn't it? And then it was an easy finish, tap in. So Barts, apparently Kloppo was since revealed that he broke his golden rule at half time and he invoked the spirit of Barcelona. So that's what we can attribute everything in the second half to, is Klopp doing his Henry V or something and standing in the dressing room invoking the spirit of Barcelona. Because I tell you what, after that 15 minutes after the half time, the team the intensity level just ratcheted up so fast from our boy. And the way I would say it, because I experienced this firsthand in the Fulham match recently, is that there was a very frustrating period of play. People saying the crowd was quiet, it wasn't getting behind the team. Only takes a very short amount of 20-second period of it, of really high intense stuff, and then the crowd feed off that and they really get into it, and then the crowd get it, and then it's from that point onwards, it's like a symbiotic thing where the crowd inspire the players inspire. They get the crowd just sort of, they do their bit at the start and then they wait, and then they just need that spark. It's almost like to really get into the momentum, and that's exactly what happened. And most of it, I might probably biased, it was Conor Bradley.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to emphasise one of Si's points about our change in pass map shape between the two halves, shows you what Si's talking about. So in the first half, we don't look like a Liverpool. We're sort of a bit. There's nothing going on in the middle. It's a bit separated. There's not great connections. But the second half, you've got a recycle triangle on the right, going across into Diaz being the further forward in the left half space. So that shows you that recycling through Harvey. Mac is playing higher in the second half, which shows you that intensity. We've got our key players in and around zone 14 and the half space is being occupied for that second half. So as much as Bradley was helping with that, we also put our key players right in the zones we need to be. It's on the ball.
But it's such a shame we didn't have the pressing data for this match. Because this would have been a throwback, right?
I think it would have been a throwback because you had, even in those first few minutes,
we set ourselves the platform.
Yeah, we were pressing their throw-ins in by the corner flag, their corner flag.
They were still trying to play out a bit, so there was opportunity, and we compressed the pitch, and we had the shape from which to press from.
We did. We had Van Dijk and so Quansah was him.
Yeah,
wasn't he? Yeah, high up on the halfway line. We pushed the whole lot up. We put our better players towards the goal, and we just went about and did the stuff that we're good at, rather than the sit-offy kind of being mid-blocky. We just went and pressed high. And we did it for a half an hour period, and we absolutely blew them off the park.
Yeah,
and we destroyed them. I don't think he said they couldn't breathe for half an hour. The noise went up, as you said. The noise symbiotic relationship went through the roof. We were pressing them so hard, quadruple presses going on, winning the ball back really high. They just didn't know what to do. And when Robbo comes on, he wins one of them from a mishit clearance from a throw-in, doesn't he? They try and clear it across
the third goal. Yeah.
Third goal. But I'm skipping him. I'm just saying it's an example of rushing a decision, whereas a clear moment would have been, do you know what? I'll just take a touch and I'll hit it down the line. He tries to go across field.
Robbo was in the centre.
And Robbo just picks it up, knocks it and plays him in. It's just, we went back to doing the stuff that I think we're good at. And sometimes it's just play the high octane. We can't do the other things. And it was just good to see us do that and flick a switch. And you're right, Conor was brilliant at it. And so was Mac. Mac was phenomenal.
They were. And I think, I don't want to be, but it was the Adam Lallana style. It was just literally just chase for 50 metres, and he did it like 3 times, and he went right to left across the pitch, just hounding Luton players, and it was almost like that really got the crowd up, and then everybody else kind of followed suit. But yeah, it was tremendous, wasn't it?
And now, also, just to cut that off, change the colours for you, Darth, but the blue dots in the second half are a lot more prominent in their final third, rather than first half they're red. So it gives you that. I think that also shows you we're having greater success higher up as well. Whereas first half it was kind of like, we'll go and do this thing, but then they got out. But saying that, we did win quite a few duels in the sort of middle third in the first half. We just didn't take advantage.
Yeah. Hamzah, and to get us back in the game, to turn the game, I think it was 2 goals in 3 minutes, 2 assists for Alexis McAllister. Second one was an absolute beauty for Cody. But should we just talk about that equaliser, that all-important equaliser, Hamzah?
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own 2-footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m, Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
This was the corner. Again, we don't need to go into too much detail about how important set pieces are for
absolutely not
equalisers or go aheads, but this is an example of that. And the key to this is actually Cody Gakpo teaming up with Van Dijk to perform a block. And it's interesting that we're talking about a block here because it becomes something that's quite important in the cup match. So Ogbene is trying to mark Van Dijk. Teden Menge is trying to mark Van Dijk. Ogbene is trying to mark Cody Gakpo. This is an outswinging corner, which is pretty usual for us. I think around a third of ours are in swingers this season. We used to have like one of the highest outswinger rates. We've mixed it up a bit. As it so happens, is a little stat for you. Last season, outswingers produced a shot more often than in-swingers, but the average XG of an in-swinger tended to be higher.
Is that the whole Premier League, or was that just?
Yeah, that's right. That's for the whole Premier League. I'll get the exact stat and then put it in the Discord. There's a piece by Ali Tweedale where he for Opta Analyst where he got that stat.
Nice.
But yeah, so what happens here is Gakpo stands his ground, lets Mengi sort of bounce into him, which just gives Van Dijk a little bit of separation, a chance to build up speed, and that means Ogbene, who's now free because Gakpo's taken out, isn't going for the ball and taken out Mengi, is going to try and sort of get the ball. But at this point, Van Dijk's already got separation. He's got a bit of momentum, and Ogbene has got to turn and accelerate, and the ball's already come in. So yeah, he can't reach it. Excellent header, excellent goal. That's a pretty sort of very, very simple sort of set piece routine. That
he was close to the penalty spot, I think, when he headed it, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he had a pretty decent XG. I'll just tell you what it is now.
But he was, and he put it. I think it didn't go high into net. It sort of bounced sort of on near the goal line, didn't it? Just in front of the keeper, I think. But yeah,
it only had 0.12, but of course header. But yeah, it's around.
But yeah, the header from Cody was even more miraculous because this was just a peach of a ball from McAllister, but he absolutely blams it in, doesn't he?
Yeah, as in, and just before this as well, this is where Bradley gets his shot off. So Liverpool score, immediately win the ball, break forward through Elliott. Bradley gets a shot off, deflected, saved by the goalkeeper, and then Elliott wins a corner. A throw-in, sorry. And immediately after that, quick throw, and McAllister just he
it's like a volleyed shot pass.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And Gakpo just needs to get a contact on it and direct it towards goal, and he does. But yeah,
he does really well, to be fair, to do it. Yeah.
What Bradley does quite well is he sort of he shapes as if he's going to sort of throw it infield, and at the same time, McAllister just curves his. So McAllister is positioned around on the line of the box, on the right side of the pitch, obviously, and he must be around 16 yards from the goal line. He curves his run. So then he's around sort of 8 yards, and that's when Bradley throws the ball and he catches it perfectly. Yeah, but yeah, to get that and the shot by Bradley and the goal by Van Dijk all in such a short space of time, that's what fries opponents' heads.
And there was another one, Barts, about a minute later. I think the next set piece, and Van Dijk has an even better header, an absolute towering leap, and he blams it, but somehow the keeper saves this one with a brilliant save.
Yeah,
we were absolutely on fire.
We were on fire because that is a 0.5. Yeah, it's 0.05 chance, that second one. But that
doesn't do it justice. That because he was marked and it was a leap. It was so dominant, wasn't it?
It was, but we were on fire. Now Van Dijk was. It's an easy cliche. People are saying it, but he was being a captain. Really, 1-0 down, goes and gets a goal. Takes the team back in.
Do you know your mate Mark Arstad, who you're still trying to get to come on the pod one of these days? I know he's a bit shy, but we can bribe him maybe. But he does he's the one who does the aerial duels ELO, which is the chess style stuff. BVD's gone up a bit recently in that. Do you know why?
No, go on.
He's won 21 consecutive aerial duels in the Premier League. 21 in a row.
21.
It's just fucking nuts.
I saw something today. Is he the first defender with 100 areas, 100 duels or something or other?
Something like that. We've entered some new categories for him to win.
Yeah. So get some more trophies to go with his man.
100 clearances and stuff like that. Fucking hell. Yeah. 21 consecutive aerials. Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, it was fun. But most of all, and there was another press lead into another shot just after the third goal with Endo. I mean, they were all at it. McAllister was pressing, leading shots. So was Endo. It was a top quality performance, second half pass.
Yeah, it really was. Is this one with the kid comes on? Is it Danes comes on?
That was another one afterwards. That was a Bobby style one.
Yeah, that was another little press, wasn't it? And then he plays a lovely ball through, and I'm thinking, go on, Cody, go on, just put that away, and it bobbles around, and Harvey finishes
it in. But
But
the Dan's one, that was he was like he'd been watching. You can tell he's been watching Bobby Firmino his whole teenage life.
Isn't that just a? I know we'll talk about this at the end, but the fact that kids come on and play, do you know what I mean? They know how to play. So I'll talk about this as a performance lead for an academy, but to have the teams playing the same way, so the profile of player, they all spoke about it after the final as well. One of the reasons they feel comfortable is they know if they play the same way in the lower levels. So they come on and they go, right, I'm going to play forward today. This is what I've got to do. And this is more complicated as you go higher up, but I don't think it's great to see the kids doing exactly what's being asked, but I also think that's by design as well. I don't think that's by accident that we've managed to do that.
Yeah. I had on the agenda a quick discussion on Bradley, Quansah, and Elliott. We've done Bradley already. He was brilliant. Jarrell Quansah, the best thing you can say about him, I think, is that you don't even notice him. And the team is outstandingly defensively, and you just don't notice him.
Yeah, I think he got better. I think he was partly out of position for their goal.
Right.
But he's playing alongside Virgil, and Virgil's amazing, and Quansah does a really nice job. He's doing a really nice job. That's why it's really hard to be. He is much more of a Virgil type defender. Virgil is the very best in the world, maybe of all time, system defender that can that can do the emergency defending if he needs to. Ibu is a terrible system defender. I'll talk about it forever, but he is phenomenal at emergency defense.
Yeah, 1v1 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and Quansah is much more Virgil light.
Yes. Yeah.
So you don't have match of the day clips of him because he didn't take a terrible touch, then have to sprint back 5 steps and do a wonder tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just don't get, so it's really easy to take for granted that, or it's really easy to ignore him. And it's just actually, it's a positive reflection of his quality.
Yeah. And finally, to just wrap up Luton, Harvey Elliott, had some pretty interesting stats in this game, Si. Not least, we early in the season, we said, Simon Bundish quote, he needs to get in the box more. In this game, he had 15 penalty box touches. That's a lot.
It's a lot by anybody's standards, that.
Now, 2 of them were offside, right? 2 of them were failed dribbles, right? But let's leave that. It's still a lot.
Yeah, so how many do I have?
I think it was about 10 proper touches, but that's still a lot.
Yeah. But of that, he got 1.09 XA. So I'm swapping that any day of the week for anything he does on the pitch. If he gets more than 1 XA a game, sign me up. It's the stuff that he's not doing, he hadn't been doing periodically, is the final phase of our build patterns.
Well, to be fair, he had a very good game against West Ham in the League Cup.
Yeah, but that's wank. Who cares?
No, but what I'm trying to say was he played the same role against West Ham and against Luton, similar levels of opponent as well. But so I'm just trying to say he can have very productive games in our system for us. So I think they're the two. There is probably his 2 best games, right? West Ham and Luton.
I'd say, yeah, absolutely. And as long as he's creating, I'm happy. I'm not unhappy with him anyway. To be fair, but if he's going to be fighting for a front three place, then he needs this level of production.
Yeah, he's got to produce.
See it this way.
Yeah, he's got to produce, hasn't he? If you've got to be in the front three, you judge on your output for Liverpool.
Yeah, or you've got to or whoever's playing on the opposite wing has to start producing like Mo.
Yeah. That's
the only way you're going to get around it. But yeah, no, he was fantastic. He played lots of high risk passes in this game, which is not his game. So what I was talking about with Diaz is what I was trying to say about Diaz is that his role has changed from the role he was doing previously. So you can expect different things from him, because his role has changed. So he's on the end of chances. He's the one that's having high volume number of touches in the box. He's our finisher right now.
So like when he first joined, he was hugging the left wing touchline all the time, yeah?
Well, most of the season.
Yeah,
and most of the season that he was earlier in the pattern before we weren't designing our structure around getting him the final touch.
Yeah.
And we currently are. Yeah. So we have to look at this block of games where he is the
focal point, yeah,
differently, and Harvey's is getting a little bit higher up as well. So, but they're working well together. Harvey has been coming off the bench and playing mostly really low risk, solid passes, and not giving the ball away at all. Yeah. And in the last couple of games, he's playing much higher risk, and he's played a couple of amazing passes, and it's paid off.
Yeah,
and he works his nuts off, that kid, as well.
Yeah. Okay. Right, Chelsea. Barts, as our relevant opposition analyst, do you want to just give us the Chelsea lineup for this one quickly?
Hang on, I've got to find it now. Hang on. They were unchanged from the previous game. That's as much I know that much. Let me just find the page. The 4-2-3-1. I'm not going to pronounce the back line, but they
go on. No, there was no Thiago Silva, was there?
There was no Thiago Silva, but they've dropped him. After our game, and they've actually started to put a bit of run together. I mean, 3-4 games is like an eternity for when you've not been winning a lot. But Colwell on the left and
size mate Ben Chilwell.
Left back. Kizazi. That's it, Kizazi. You can see the £250 million partner pair in midfield of Enzo and Moses. Connor playing ostensibly.
We're not. There's only one Connor in this match.
Sorry. Gallagher playing in ostensibly off of the front man with Jackson, with Palmer on the right and Sterling on the left. Is how they have been lining up.
Who was utterly anonymous apart from his offside goal. Yeah.
Apart from his offside goal, and the other one which Kev pulls off a brilliant save. But he was on. Would get taken off about 60, wasn't he, or something like that number? But so yes, This seems to be he's starting to become a bit more settled in terms of his lineup. He left the lad that you liked on the bench. Is it Lukaku? Is that right?
Nkunku. Yeah, he's still not properly fit. He missed about 4 months with it. Yeah.
I always think he looks slightly more dangerous when they come on. When he comes
definitely.
On, but,
you can tell it, can't you?
You can tell on. But no, I think generally speaking, that's his lineup. Fairly basic, kind of basic. It's Poch. He did it at Spurs. He had two sitters and a one in front because he had Eriksen in front with Ali, and I can't remember who his sitter was. That's completely gone off my head there a minute.
Dembele.
But that's it.
They had Dembele and Wanyama.
Yeah, so they had the same sort of setup. It was a kind of two in front of a back four. So
that's a throwback. Yeah.
That is a long time ago. So that's how Poch likes to play when he gets there. So that's very basic, rudimentary. And
I forgot I had a quiz for you guys after because we're not going to be able to do it because we're going to talk about the winner later on. The most goals scored by a centre back in the top 8 European leagues, all competitions though. So top 5 leagues plus. Portugal, I can't remember what the 7th. Anyway, Virgil's got 23 since 2017-18. How many players have got more? There's 2 players who've got more than that. Do you want to have a guess who they are? Only centre-backs. We're talking not full-backs. Since 2017-18 season. One of them used to play for Liverpool.
Paletta?
Close. He's in Portugal now.
Ilori?
No, not Ilori.
It's not Saka, is it? Not,
no, it's Sebastian Coates.
I say Coates.
He's got the most goals by centre. He's got 26 goals in
That's like scissor kicks.
All scissor kicks, yeah. Every single one's a scissor kick.
Who's the other one?
The other one is a Brazilian international.
Blimey.
Gabriel?
No.
What league?
I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's a current. You guys are going to be rubbish on a pub quiz. It's Marquinhos at PSG with 25. So
okay.
Coates 26, Marquinhos 25, VVD 23. He's level with Willy Orban, or I think he plays for Leipzig, captain of Leipzig, and then Sergio Ramos.
Do you know my take home? I appreciate that he's brilliant, and
he should be 50-50
is absolutely brilliant. Should be 40.
Sergio Ramos has got 21 as well. He's the other one.
I was going to say, I thought Ramos would be up there somewhere.
Yeah. He when you add in their pens as well. Most goals scored by a defender, actually, in that same period. James Tavernier, he's got 87.
He takes penalties, doesn't he?
He does. He's got about 50 penalties for Rangers, so in that period. Yeah. Seriously, it's about 50.
Can't count that league. Jesus Christ.
But he's got 87 goals from a defender in the 6 seasons. Anyway. Right. Right.
We haven't covered that in the Luton game that Robbo went to top of the Premier League Assisters League again for defenders.
Ever?
Yeah, because he was top 2 weeks ago. Then Trent took his place, and he's just equaled Trent again.
Brilliant. And most, I just looked it up by the way. Most goals scored by a centre back in Liverpool's history is Sami Hyypiä with 35. Sammy was 1 every 13 games, and VVD's on 23. So 1 in every 11 appearances for Liverpool. There you go. Because we're not going to talk about it later. So we're going to talk about
more, man.
40 goals already. He should be ahead of Sammy already.
I don't. I'm not even talking about Virgil. I'm just talking like across the board. It should be more. Like centre back should be scoring more goals.
Well, even the legend of Sami Hyypiä, he's 87th highest scorer, 87th highest scorer in Liverpool's history.
Yeah,
he's only got 35.
If having been old now and been on Premier League training grounds in 1995 and been on Premier League training grounds in 2024, the way we coach is vastly different. The way we set up set pieces to make specific things happen, as you'll see in this game, is vastly different. The outcomes should be vastly different. Before, we would lump a ball into an area.
Yeah.
Go and attack it. That's basically what it will be.
No, it's much more like...
It's much more like an American football set piece.
Yeah, I was going to say, like the NFL, basically, yeah. Okay. All right. Barts, keep the line open and give us that match summary, please, mate.
Go to the tab. Possession 47-52 overall. Touches we have more, 949 to 874 I've got. Total shots we outshot them 24-19. Off target 6 apiece. On target 11-9. 6-yard box shots 4-1 to them. Penalty box shots 18-15 to us. Outside the box 6-4 to us. Big chances 5-1 to them, as in they had 5, we had 1. We obviously got the 1 goal that mattered. XG wise 2.38 to 1.81 for us, which means they had 1 total of 1 and we had 1.4, so they actually converted more of their threat to XG. Field tilt overall 44 versus 55 in our favour. So yes, in terms of probabilities, Chelsea should have won in 1,000 games. 55% would have had to win, and they would have won by 2-1 11% of the time.
That was the most common score. Was it Chelsea?
That was the most common. Is it Chelsea 2-1? So we were 27% to win the game. So there you go. In terms of when you start looking at down granularity, there are some bits and bobs as we can come on to, but you can definitely see periods of time where Chelsea are on top and we're not in the 15 minutes. And although that overall summary suggests that Chelsea had a little bit here and there, shaded it in certain areas, the field tilt were pretty much dominant. Like we've got 80% first 15, then 35, 31 and 45 were 100%, and 60-40, 60-40, 60-30, 66-35. There's not, in terms of where we're getting possession, we seem to have that metric. We were better than Chelsea in most of the material periods of the game. Yes, the overall possession is kind of swings a little bit between 50-50, 55-45, but in terms of the importance of where you want to have possession, we largely had that. It's just that when they were in there, they created some pretty big XG chances. Whereas we didn't turn that threat into big XG chances. No. If you look at Kev's game, as we'll come on to, Kev was brilliant, right? He also had the opportunity to do that because he saved from Gallagher twice, and he late on in the second half. First half, he saves from Sterling and Palmer. Those are two big chances, big XG chances, and we didn't really have the equivalent.
Yeah, and coming on to that, Hamzah, I mean, I thought we started the game really quite brightly and nicely, and we had a lot of good play around the Chelsea box, a lot of possession in the Chelsea third as Barts at it, but we just couldn't turn that into a really high quality chance.
Yeah, for I think up to the 19th minute at least, it was 5-1 on shots to Liverpool. Although by the 20th, I think Chelsea had two very big ones, principally the
that was their first real attack, wasn't it? They couldn't get anything going.
It was, yeah. And I think that sort of came from a little bit of instability. I think McAllister tried to, play a pass forwards to Grav, and it was just very slightly ahead of him. Isasi picks it up, and Palmer was able to find spaces between the line quite a bit in this match. And he drops in at this point. Robertson realises he's free. Robertson jumps, but because he's already sort of received the ball and releasing Gallagher, there's space in behind. And then I think Caicedo eventually plays it to Gallagher. He cuts it back. Then someone gets a touch. Sterling gets a touch maybe. And then Palmer gets his shot.
I know it's a bit, put you on the spot with this, but do you think teams can bait Robbo? They like almost like spring the trap. I know it's not like biting in the back line, but do you think they'll, because they know he will be prepared to do that 20-meter press into midfield, yeah?
I think that's a fair question. I think the reason that this sort of particular moment happened was just a moment of instability in midfield. And I think often it can be worth the risk that Robertson does it because he's got Van Dijk behind him. Yeah, so Van Dijk can cover the loose pass. And the opportunity here is if I literally just go back and have a look at this moment, I can describe what could have happened. Excuse me, sorry. Robertson could win the ball, and then suddenly Liverpool have 4 players ahead of him against 3 Chelsea players. So he would have carried the ball, and it's a proper counter-attacking moment because you've got Gravenberch, Gakpo, Bradley, and Diaz. So those sort of moments, I think you make these decisions very quickly as a footballer. You size up what's there in front of you, and you just tick off sort of what's the risk here? Can I win it? What's the upside if I do win it? And players will literally just in a split second, they'll have a picture of what's ahead of them and what's behind them and decide yes or no. I think this might be the right move. And I think in this instance, Robertson probably he would have thought 2 things. There's an upside to winning the ball and being able to potentially counter-attack. And the other thing is, this is Palmer receiving the ball, and this is a problem, and there needs to be ball pressure on him immediately because they've got that body in midfield. I
mean, that's fair. We always say you've got to put pressure on the ball. We always do say that. Yeah, absolutely.
Because one other thing that could have happened is instead of Palmer playing it into Caicedo because Robertson's on his back, is he could have just turned and played the pass into Gallagher just immediately. I think it's a good question whether teams try and bait it. I think the match that sticks out is the City match in the 1920 season. Yeah.
He does it on Foden, doesn't he? A young Phil Foden, and he gets absolutely rinsed.
But I think that was probably one of Robertson's worst.
I thought you were going to say the Champions League final, Hamzah.
Well, that one as well. That example is just a moment of genius, more than anything by Modric, because the way that he turns and spins a pass and takes out, he's either 3 or 4 players with one move. Again, these sort of moments you make these sort of decisions you make in a split second. But yeah, to come back to your original point, I would agree that the first 15, 20 minutes, Liverpool had a majority of possession, had general control, were creating shots, and sort of had a better sort of position in terms of who had the space and who was controlling space. But that's the opening sort of period.
Yeah. And Si, one of the biggest stories of this game and the Luton game, and do it together now as a pair, was our new central midfield duo, Alexis McAllister and Endo. This is the second game in a row where they had a pretty tremendous performance. What do you see about what they're doing as a duo and the blend of skills which makes them really effective at this moment?
You pointed this out last game. I don't think structurally we've changed. I just think that perhaps Mac playing as a 6 has adjusted his lens on how he makes decisions. And so both the 8s are supposed to rotate in. So we've got 2 deep, at various points of our, defense, of our cover defense. And then as we're building, and he's doing it really well, he's boss. I would like to point out that both were really good in this game. Endo is tremendous and finishing that game unbelievable, and his high duel rate is phenomenal. And he cuts out passes like a really top level number 6. But when the way we set up since the Arsenal game, since the WM began, it leaves us susceptible to midfield runners, to singular midfield runners. And what Poch did was just let Connor fly in this game, and he just kept running off the back of Endo, and Endo doesn't track. I don't know if, without ever seeing him before he played for us, I don't know if that's just not his game or it's tactically designed that way. But the problem with us and the way we man defense is that we don't zonally mark anymore. It's that we're going man for man with Virgil and Ibu. And if they're playing 3 high, which they do very often, you've got Robbo, Jackson and Raheem mostly being marked by those 3 lads. So that if there's then a 4th third man runner coming directly through our guts, that he is free and completely unmarked and no one went anywhere near him. So while if we're in a rest defense where we've got Connor's back as well, then Ibu can cover it.
So what you're saying is that when we're being proactive in the defensive phase, they're a real asset, the pair of them as a pair. But when we are more passive, we have issues more, yeah? Yeah. Okay. And that will be the next step to work on, I guess, for the pair of them.
I don't know. I think it's structural. I think it's probably structural. I think neither of them are athletic enough to cover that run, but there's already a lot being asked of them. And I just don't know if you can do all of those things. I think it might just remain a weakness. And as long as you have the extreme physicality of Virgil and Ibu that can break glass in case of emergency, if that's the emergency that they're really good at covering. I think maybe it's by design, but
there was a lot of Liverpool fans,
and they definitely set up to target that.
Yeah, there was a lot of Liverpool fans who were ready to give Endo the Man of the Match award. In my Twitter feed and generally on Twitter generally. I mean, he was, considering the start he had in the autumn side to the performances he's been putting in since probably start of December, have been pretty high level. Really good. And should we just do the numbers now as well? His possession control of +6 in this match. That's one of the highest we'll ever have for a defensive midfielder in a top team.
that is what Thiago averaged last season. But let me genuinely put that in context.
Yeah.
That's what Thiago averaged, and that's why, whatever the bullshit that you would like to say about Thiago this season, because recency bias is that this is the world that we live in. He's on a different level. He's just unable. His body is just unable to get him on a pitch. That's all.
Yeah.
But even the not 6 version of Thiago playing as a 6 has this level of possession control.
But for mere mortals, right?
And it was really good.
Yeah, so he had 91% passing from a DM role, and he won 12 out of 19 duels. I mean, that is pretty ideal, really. And McAllister wasn't that far behind. I think was he positive overall in the match, Mac, or was he just slightly negative?
No, he's got -2, which is still
really good. Yeah, really good.
But I would say, I don't want to put anything negative about it. That's why I didn't even really want to talk about injuries. But you know what I'm like with narratives? It's become a narrative that Endo is the greatest player on earth. That if, let's throw it back 10 years, if it was Lucas doing that role as a 6 and their 10 got in behind as often, he would be absolutely vilified. I'm just trying to be objective here.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think it's fair to say that, that's really good, because I don't think we've had that. I haven't heard that analysis anywhere else, actually. So that's really good. Really fair. But McAllister and Endo at the moment are pretty tremendous overall.
Can I just pose a question to you guys? Genuine question. As much as I like to prod the hot button topic, genuine question. Can you name another player who ended up being the hot ticket item, the high price ticket item by mistake before, that Caicedo has been off the back of McAllister?
Yeah, you say, well, they definitely look like the price tags were the wrong way around. Yeah, those two players. We've got
You mean another one of our backup signings? Because we did the first
not just for us. I'm just saying, like,
generally,
across football, there is one guy that will get all of the plaudits so Shearer and Sheringham. Along those lines. Do you know what I mean? Like, one of them is actually pulling all of the strings and the other one's getting all the plaudits.
Well, it's the same.
I'm not saying Shearer's not brilliant.
You could also talk about Enzo and McAllister as well.
Yeah.
In the Argentina midfield.
Did we go for Anthony at United, and United got him and we got somebody else? I can't remember. There's various times where I think we've missed out maybe on top signing and had to go.
Oh yeah, that's happened to us quite a lot. I was just talking but just the narrative around two crazy. Two players in a team. I think there's probably some around the Ajax midfield from 5 years ago that got picked up.
Oh, De Jong went to Barca, didn't he?
Yeah. One went to United, one went to Barca. Yeah. I just wonder if there are any others in history that have the wrong one got all of the credit.
Well, didn't Real Madrid buy Thomas Gravesen from out there when they thought they got him confused with Lee Carstake, because they went to an Everton match and they ended up buying Thomas Gravesen by mistake.
I don't know.
It's true. The player they thought was boss, and it was actually Lee Carsley. But there you go.
Blimey.
Anyway, so on the Endo one as well, you got to give credit for Barts for that. The follow up on the Jackson shot after the save for, the Kelleher save on the big chance. That was a tremendous block.
Yeah, that's his game, isn't it? That he's in the right time, the right place, defensively blocking, and he's very good at that. I think he's added something needed to the base of midfield.
We watched him against Union Saint-Gilloise.
We did, and he wasn't great. He wasn't great, but I think what he's done now, I think he's just pre-scanning better, so that rather than having to take a touch and then pass, I think he's now able to play that pass quicker because he's already pre-scanned the area and he's got used to where the players are around him, so he can play that pass first time. He still has a bit of a left-hand side bias. I was just looking at pass maps, and for all of our good play in that first half, there is a massive hole on the right-hand side that potentially, I know Grav's gone in there. We changed Conrad to go in there, but I think Mac and Endo are playing really well, but the right side is still an area for improvement, and it's still probably dependent on personnel, which is not available at the moment. And I think that might help a functioning. That might also help that player running off the back, because if Endo is left side dominant, then they're running off the back of the right, which seems to be where Gallagher is running into. That right eight, Dom might be able to adjust that. I don't know, but no, I just think you're right. Endo's done well. That is essentially what he's in there for, isn't it? To make those blocks and make sure that they don't get the second shot off, win the second ball. He's also, I think something I didn't realise when we signed him, he's very good in the air. Yeah. Someone who's not of great stature, shall we say, height-wise, he does pretty well.
Yeah, and he's definitely got a good engine. And it looks like he is a bit of a cyborg as well, to me. But we shall see on that front. Hamzah, anything to put a full stop on the Endo and McAllister conversation from you?
No, I think we'll keep it there.
Okay, you can talk to us about the rather nice period between the Chelsea big chances and half-time, when we were, I thought, quite comfortably the better team, and we actually had our best chances of the match in this period.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
I thought there was a little bit of instability after the Grav change.
Yes.
Obviously, he came off for Gomez, and Gomez moved to right back. So Bradley moved to right wing, and Elliott moved into right midfield. So that's just quite a sort of disruptive sort of move there. And I think after that period in which I described earlier, that first 15 in which Liverpool were a bit more comfortable, the game became a little bit less sort of structured briefly, but then towards the end of the half, Liverpool really sort of finished well. If you look at the sort of possession breakdown,
you would say we were adjusting, but we weren't. Chelsea weren't letting Chelsea have shots or chances or anything. We were kind of still broadly on top. We just couldn't really get anything going in attack ourselves either until that period just before half time.
Yeah, and then in that period, that's where Gakpo and Bradley both got their shots away, and then Diaz got his. But one thing I thought that we did quite well early on was we used the long pass quite well. So it wasn't just sort of Van Dijk doing that, but Konate hit a few early passes in the right channel. Kelleher also played direct as well into Diaz. So there's a few ways which we progressed quite well, and at the same time, Chelsea were trying to sort of work their way around the press by playing to their fullbacks and then to the wing. But in that period, I thought Liverpool were a bit stronger. They also had their offside goal as well in this period, right?
Yeah. It was Jackson, wasn't it? Yeah.
But he was offside. So, that actually comes to a point I literally just made about how they sort of tried to work their way around the press. So they played from left to right. Moved it into Disasi, then into Gusto. And like you mentioned earlier, so Robertson had jumped up. Enzo had a free moment inside, clipped the ball in behind, and then Palmer released Jackson. It's a nice fluid move. And if you are going to try and avoid the situations that Chelsea had in the 4-1 defeat at Anfield, then you're going to look to try and build up in this way and avoid the middle of the pitch. I mean, City started doing that in 18-19, right? Just avoiding playing through the middle, just to avoid the press, and play through the wings, through the fullbacks, and using the players in the half space to pull wide a bit. So yeah, it's a nice fluid move, and it nearly came off. If Jackson was a bit deeper, then maybe he would have been onside. But yeah, otherwise, pretty sort of strong consolidation. There's a few moments that are interesting where Bradley and Elliott swapped. So Bradley was playing wide, but sometimes Elliott would move wide and Bradley would sort of run in behind or come in field. So yeah, there's a few nice, interesting bits there. I'm just looking at my other notes for the period.
Yeah, it was nice. I thought the Cody chance was the best one. I mean, the Bradley one went down as a big chance, but there was a lot of bodies in between him and the goal, wasn't there? There was about at least 4, but the Cody one was unlucky.
From the left, the cross
game. It was Robertson, wasn't it? It was a beauty.
Robertson, yeah.
Yeah. Robbo's crossing was really on point in this match, to be fair. He was really good.
And I think it's not just Gakpo in there. I think Bradley's in there as well, and Elliott's at the far post. So it's But
yeah, just hit the foot of the post and could have gone anywhere, but didn't. It came back out. But into the second half, Barts, and we're still broadly on top, and it kind of culminates in that period with what we thought was the go-ahead goal, not to be.
Yeah, I thought we started well again, to be fair. I think we started both halves relatively well. You know, we had more of the ball in that first 15 minutes after half-time. We had good field tilt, we said. Still not creating a large amount of XG, though. And threat was we have more threat, 0.6 to 0.1. 0.16 to 0.1. So yeah, we still weren't turning that into XG, should we say? But we were still, I would agree with that. I thought we were better. Our passing was still in the high 80s, so we were still doing pretty well. In terms of our structure. Slightly more refined, should we say, in the second half. You can start seeing the triangles forming all over the pitch as we get a bit more settled. And our players are operating into the half spaces in zone 14. So, yeah, and then it probably comes to the major talking point of the half, which is that, is it free kick, isn't it, from Robbo? Is that right? I remember that correctly, haven't I?
Yeah, free kick.
Yeah, free kick.
Free kick from the right. Free kick from the right.
Free kick from the right, yeah. So it comes in, and VVD scores probably a more difficult header than the actual goal, should we say, with the ball, but it's chalked off through, as Hamzah has pointed out in previous pods, the role of a blocker and how you've got to be subtle in the art of doing it. And Cody was subtle at Luton in blocking off, and Endo wasn't. Although the ruling seems to be. He was offside, whereas if he'd been onside, I think it would have been allowed.
Yeah.
It's just because he was offside and he interfered with play.
It's a subjective one.
Yeah, it's a subjective offside, which is madness, right? But yeah.
The reason it was subjective is because, the reason that the VAR asked the referee to have a look is because the subjectivity comes from whether the referee believes that Colwill could have actually impacted Van Dijk's ability to play the ball. So if Endo was there, because Endo blocked him and he was in an offside position, the referee believes that stopped Van Dijk from playing the ball. I think most people would take issue with that. I think if Endo wasn't there, I think Van Dijk still would have got to the ball. And I think that's probably the contention that Liverpool will have. And personally, I think that's a fair point. It's not a technical offside.
I think you're right, Hamzah. I think it's in terms of how they played the role. I can understand the decision being chalked off, right? But in terms of, do I think Colwill stops Van Dijk scoring the goal? No, I don't. I think he's behind the play anyway. Do you know? I think he's starting too far back, so I don't think he's getting there. I get the point why he's disallowed.
And the second element to this is, are these decisions like officiated consistently? And
no.
The answer is obviously not. I mean, like, Gregor Robertson and I did a piece on Arsenal set pieces, and like the amount of blocking that you see. I mean, you take a look at someone like Ben White on an opposition goalkeeper. He's a total nuisance. Stands on the goalkeeper, pushes the goalkeeper, runs around the goalkeeper, goes into the goal, runs around the front. Declan Rice does the same. Gabriel Saliba, they all do this, and they're entirely right to do this because referees don't pull them up on it.
Yeah.
But then in this final and the final 2 years ago, when Matip had something similar, that's when the VAR gets involved. As in, it is a technical infringement blocking. It's usually punishable by an indirect free kick, but like my
beef with it, Hamzah, is what you said. It's the subjective nature of it, because I think this is it. This is where VAR is almost re-refereeing the game. And which is not what it was brought in to do. And it's not like to relitigate a match, which is something which has already happened. And because it's not a clear cut and dry, Colwell was there on Van Dijk, and it's not. He might not even have been there. So you're giving a free kick for something which might not have even arisen. I just don't know. It's a stretch for me, but there you go.
Yeah, I mean, if Endo does better at hiding the block, we're not having this conversation, are we? You know, if he does a Cody at Luton,
well, if he's just 1 foot further towards our goal, he's probably, it's all
he's onside.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's definitely not given. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Si, mention for Ben Chilwell picking on starting fights with kids.
It's just a dickhead. It's just a bad dickhead. He's the perfect Chelsea captain.
The successor to John Terry and Ashley Cole.
Dickhead.
Yeah.
This shows very low character guy.
Yeah. Is this why he left the mascot at Anfield in the recent match? He just doesn't like kids.
He's just a bad dude. Like, I forget anything salacious. Who Liverpool recruit are high character guys.
Yeah.
You hear about it in American sport all the time. They recruit high character guys. Chelsea, in their list of priorities, I don't think it's even a box on their form. They just don't care. And that's what you get when you make that guy, who is ostensibly a punk.
Great word.
You make him, he's a cheap punk. You make him your captain.
Yeah. The best thing was Bradley wasn't even asked. He was completely nonplussed by it. It's probably given him verb. Actually, I thought Bradley, he kind of did a bit of a kind of rugby tackle into the ground, didn't he? It was quite cool. I liked it when he took him down and he buried him he put it and he burrowed, when Chilwell was on the ground, he definitely carried on going into his body, and then Chilwell got up and, yeah.
Brad's like, have you heard of Gaelic football, dude?
Yeah. Yeah,
like, he's like, who do you think you are, pretty boy?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, he's an absolute twat. Anyway, so talk about big player in this match, Si. Peavy Kelleher. What?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
A game for the ages.
We can have our narratives around who was the key player in the game.
Yeah.
Man of the match, for whatever it means.
Yeah.
The biggest decider over whether Liverpool lost this game or not is Ginger Kev. Yeah. 100% on 5 different occasions, he saved a very obvious goal. We're talking at least 3 Ali moments, and 3 of them were Conor Gallagher, completely free inside our box again and again and again. I'm just looking at the moment.
The best one was the Palmer one, because Palmer can actually finish, unlike Gallagher, who can't.
Sure, but early in the game, when who got the earliest chance? This is where I only saw. Was that cutting in off the left hand side?
Yeah, he was about 6 yards, 8 yards out. It was like Dudek against Shevchenko.
Yeah. But he did that also 1-on-1 against completely free when Connor ran off the back.
Yeah, that was second half. Yeah,
that's second half.
He closed as soon as Connor was running and he was free. He was already coming out to close the angle.
It was like he saw the move happening, and Palmer played the pass exactly how he should have done. And Queeve was watching in a way that the rest of our team weren't. And it was such a very obvious move and a very obvious pass. It could have been covered. It could have been cut out. Neither of those things occurred. So he just dealt with it like he was Ali.
Yeah.
And Connor made the touch, looked up, and Quaid was already at his feet.
This was his Alisson against Barcelona game, wasn't it? It was that level. I think Ali saved 5 big chances that night, 4 big chances.
Yeah.
And obviously that had the away goals peril on it as well.
But it was very much in that he saved 2.93 post shot in this game.
Unbelievable. 3 big chances. I think 3 big chances he saved in total. Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. And without making an extended save.
Yeah.
So he didn't do any of the stuff that would get you a match of the day with the diving.
The Palmer one, the chef where he became Dudek against Shevchenko. That one.
But wasn't this just flying out?
I don't know. I mean, I thought he basically threw himself to his left, and I think he got his upper arm on it, didn't he? Barts. I think that one, the first one in the first half.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I thought it was a bit more. It was to the left of his chest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't a dive extension. That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't an Aaron Ramsdale. There was no Aaron Ramsdale saves.
That's what I'm talking about. That's
Hollywood saves.
That's the stuff that you see on TV that gets you a match of the day moment where people talk of you as a great goalkeeper. But that's not the stuff that wins you leagues. This is the stuff that wins you leagues.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that was actually the most telling. The most telling thing was in both the examples that Sai just highlighted, the Palmer one and the Gallagher one where he was through.
Yeah.
The way that Kelleher saved those looked to be the same way that Alisson would, as in technically. If you look at his foot positioning, if you look at how he waits and then how he spreads and dives and he saves with his limb for the first one and how he sort of commits low and again spreads his chest and then uses his limb for the second one, the Gallagher one, you could swap him out for Alisson. He looks the same, as in if you look at the leg positioning, it just looks like Alisson there. And whether that is Alisson working with him, whether that's Achterberg working with him, I don't know. But as in those moments, he actually looked like Alisson. And I think that's why they don't look like amazing saves, but that's why they are actually amazing saves, because it's the most efficient way to save them.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the saves. And he's made 13 saves in the 2 finals against Chelsea without conceding. Tremendous. It was command of his box was good, solid, catching the high balls, and he did a couple of punches as well. But also the sweeping and the distribution, Hamzah. It was the complete package.
Yeah, I think if you look at the recoveries,
15.
Yeah. 15. So if you look at the players with the most recoveries, only their goalkeeper had more. So yeah,
keepers always get the most. But it's a point.
Yeah. All-round game was excellent. His distribution was good too. Like I said early on, he was using the long pass into Diaz quite well. There are a few moments where the team collectively rode the luck a bit, like when Chelsea hit the post with the Gallagher chance. But in the big moments, he was there. In the big moments, he claimed. The big moments, he punched. And a lot of this game, I know it's intangible, and we don't tend to get into this, but when you see the reaction in extra time from the fans and how that worked, and you go back to the Luton match when the fans picked up and how the team responded to that and the other way around, I think that played a role here. The way that Kelleher was playing, it gives you a sense of, and with Klopp on the sidelines sending the kids on, it gives you that little sense of, this is it, this is our day, and players feed off that, and opposition players can often shrink in the face
with all the
subs.
Too. Kev was all of a sudden he was a senior pro. Yeah, he was going, Christ, I'm going to be like lead by example here now. All the kids are coming on, but yeah, I mean, the thing Sai's right. I mean, we could talk about this Van Dijk or Endo or McAllister or whatever. Statistically, there's no one closer. There's no one close to the influence he had on this match result, and it was Kelleher. It was clear. Man of the match. Yeah, absolutely brilliant performance. So well done, Kev. Let's talk about the bad stuff, Chelsea. After the Van Dijk goal, unfortunately, Chelsea do take over, and we are somewhat clinging on for that final whistle. Hamzah.
Sorry. Yes. And again, so what I just mentioned about that sort of intangible, the momentum.
Yes.
You really do get the sense there, because the way that the crowd reacted to that goal, the way Van Dijk reacted, the team, they felt that was their moment and it was taken away from them because of the VAR decision. And then from that point, Chelsea really sort of took control of the game. A number of chances, they counter-attacked really well, and there's signs, a few signs of that earlier in the second half as they built and played forwards. But yeah, this is when they began to play quite well. Key to that were Enzo and Palmer. Both of them were getting on the ball a bit more in advanced areas. Palmer again finding space between the lines. So as Gusto would advance, he'd move out and receive the ball, and then play and release. So for example, let's imagine the ball moves on the right wing. Liverpool sort of sitting back a bit. Palmer moves into the right half space. Ball comes back to him. Liverpool push out, and as they push out, he slips a pass to, for example, Caicedo or Enzo, and immediately runs in behind between the lines, and then they'd try and find him. That sort of stuff was causing problems, and I think that something similar to that actually happened with the Gallagher chance that hit the post, but rather than him coming inside, Palmer that is, he actually went out wide and then cut in and then played it across to Gallagher. But yeah, Palmer was the key to this. He's quite slick and sharp, and
they were overloading Robertson, weren't they? And he was really cute with his passes into the box. Yeah. There was a big chance for Disasi, which was I don't know, maybe just came from too high, but he kind of just thighs it. I think out to the bar, which is a let up.
Yeah, I think it was a 0.3 XG chance, but like given the way he actually hit it, it's not that big. But as in, if he actually got on top of it, absolutely a big chance.
Conor Gallagher missed at least 2 good chances. Thank God he's been struggling with his finishing all season. But the one, you thinking, hang on, this is really what's going on here. Is it going to? Was that 90 minutes with that almighty scramble in the 6-yard box, in the Liverpool 6-yard box? I don't know. Was there 4 shots involved in that sequence? 2 saves?
There's definitely. So the first one is Nkunku's shot, which Konate blocks. Then Palmer gets one. Then the ball is fizzed across from Gusto. And then I'm not sure who gets the last touch on it. Is it Nkunku again? Yeah. I think at this. Well,
Palmer gets one saved. Palmer gets one saved, and I think it comes back out. And I think he finally catches the one from Nkunku.
Mm-hmm. The last one is the weakest of the lot, but there's a bit of emergency defending from Konate, then the save by Kelleher with his legs, then I think Gomez actually gets in ahead of Gallagher, and then there's a final shot. But so I should have just had a little bit more detail beforehand. The way that Enzo was getting the ball was important, so he would pick up the ball in deep areas and spread it out wide, and Gallagher was joining the front line to overload us, so he was the one that would join with Palmer on the right, around Robertson, and then they had Gusto on the outside. They were matching up against a defensive line, which was just causing a bit of stress, especially with a sort of lightweight midfield that Liverpool had. And at this point as well, Bobby Clark had come on for Connor Bradley. A big moment for him, as in there's just a lot going on. It's kind of hard to sort of acclimatise yourself in a big game, let alone a cup final where there's a few inexperienced players and players are playing in different positions, and the opposition is coming on to you with the last few minutes. So it's quite a difficult circumstance. You can understand why it takes a little bit of time to sort of settle. And because of this, Liverpool, when they had the opportunity to take a breather, often tried to just move the ball forward and break and try and hit Diaz, rather than sort of develop sort of sustained possession sequences. That is to a large degree sort of normal.
But how do you, out of interest, that Chelsea 4-shot sequence, how do you code that? Just give us some insight into the magic.
I just used that's FOTMod data I've got in there, so they've actually split that up pretty well. Let me just have a quick look at that.
So what would he do? Would he just assign the highest value with the 4 shots? Would he count?
Yeah, it's already there's a marker already on it in FOTMod that tells you what is the highest one.
Right, okay.
In a sequence, it's really the annoying thing in FOTMod is, and the reason they use that marker is because they don't use seconds.
Oh.
So they use minutes, whereas Opta use seconds and Understat use seconds. So, FOTMod don't. So that's why they've got a marker in there to tell you which is the highest one. But
so I think the highest one was looking at it was 0.17, which is an Unkunku one.
Which
so
is the highest. Yeah, that's the highest. So that would have been flagged and data. But yeah.
Before we go on to the end of the match, Bart, any more highlights from the stats packet you want to call out?
I think you highlighted a lot of it. I think it's interesting. Amongst all of it, there's certain patterns that we still kept a variety in our passing, which isn't something you would suggest if we're running out of players or you're getting desperate. It's still, I do the grid in terms of how long our passing changes and what minute the game is. We're still fairly consistent in our variety of use, whereas Chelsea are largely long passes, or short. There's nothing in between. So, so it's interesting, even though, and this is where a second watch is always important, right? When you're in there, you feel like we're giving it away in certain periods. It doesn't really reflect on how we were keeping the ball in latter periods or still keeping to the same way we're trying to play. Don't forget, we made 3 changes on 86. I think it's 3 changes. Costas came on, Dan's came on, and O'Connell came on as well. So all in that period, not only have you had Clark on for 5-10 minutes, you've then got 3 other players coming on. So we have 4 changes in the same sort of segment of the game. Which takes a bit of time to get the systems going. And Dan's he gets a shot from a press on 88 minutes. I would have thought as well would have gone down if he were collecting it for this game.
Yeah, he looked lively, didn't he?
He did look lively, yeah.
Very lively. The Athletic, he was not the neutral correspondent gave him an 8, Dan's, for his cameo.
I suppose he did have a head shave, didn't he?
But it just shows you, I think, more the impact he makes.
Yeah.
Si, talk to me about the Jurgen's big balls with his teenage substitutions at the end of normal time there.
It is weird. I think he was probably left with no choice because there really is context. You can't just manage only for this moment, knowing how many games we've got. At some point, you can't go, right, I'm going to risk
Mac.
Right now, he's going to break at any moment. So we'll just keep leaving him on and leaving him on and leaving him on. So not every manager in the world would have done it, but he made different decisions which got us to this state in the first place. So big balls, well done. There's no criticism. You did it. It was amazing that it worked out the way it did. James McConnell was astonishing when he came on. In extra time, he had more touches than anybody else on the pitch. He gave the ball away 3 of 42 touches.
Yeah.
And there was an utter bit of filth that transferred the ball from our penalty box into their penalty box in the middle of extra time. As a 6, I thought he was tremendous. I think he was the best player on the pitch in extra time.
I was going to say, was he one of the keys for us? We generally controlled the extra time period.
He was the reason we controlled the extra time period.
Yeah, he was. Very, very promising.
Yeah, 35 touches. That's 12 more than anybody else on the pitch.
Yeah, and like we already said, what did you think of Dan's?
I don't really know enough about him.
Did you see him in? Oh, did you like him? Did you like his cameo in this match?
I liked his header. He's got very nice hair.
Yeah, he has. He has got superb hair. But we made lots of changes. Chelsea didn't. How much of Chelsea's timid, passive extra time was fatigue, and how much of it was tactical, and how much of it was, as Gary Neville said, bottling it?
That's a really hard. I don't know. I think if you look at Chelsea's bench, Pochbot, I don't know. It's still not his team, right? It's still not his squad. He had 2 keepers on the bench. Sometimes like Si just said, Klopp didn't really have a lot of choice. He had to play the kids. Poch might have decided, I don't want any of these guys on there. I'm happy with the guys that got on there.
There was only one sub difference.
Yeah,
he only made one sub in the first 90 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because he might be largely happy with those players. Like, this is like, what if Chelsea? The reverse thing, context, right? So, Si's right. There's a point at which he would have gone Weedy Mac for the following games. Yeah, Chelsea are going nowhere in the league. They're 11th in the league. This is that was their day. That this is their moment. So he's going to try and just go, right, he's a different manager. He's going to try and keep his best players out on the pitch for as long as possible, because he thought, and also the last 15 minutes, they were on top.
Yeah.
But we only took off Conor Bradley out of choice before, we made our 3 subs at the 87th minute.
Yeah.
That is actually the 93rd minute of the game.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think it was tactical then, just purely tactical, or do you think it was just our boys raising the,
I think
I thought generally, everybody was pretty astonished that Chelsea didn't go on from the full-time position and dominate the extra time period. Instead, they were pretty passive. Yeah,
I agree with you on that. I mean, as you know, I watched this game at Chelsea mate, and he was astonished Gallagher got taken off. He really was. He was like, what the hell was that about? He didn't understand why the 2 wild players didn't come on earlier, because he felt they were more dangerous, should we say. So, yeah, there was certain decisions that confused some of the Chelsea faithful, and he said exactly what he just said. They just sat off in extra time. But Poch in his post-match presser suggested that was a player's decision because they wanted to go for penalties. So I don't know whether that's a tactical or the players weren't doing what he wanted to do, but Poch definitely said it was the players who decided.
That sounds suspiciously like ass covering to me.
Yes, indeed. But again, why would you? I mean, this is different between managers, right? Klopp wouldn't have done. I don't think Klopp would have done that. He'd have gone for the win. He did go for the win.
Yeah.
Poch, at half, having had the best 15 minutes of the game, arguably, decides whether or not he did or not, or whatever it is, that they were going to sit off for half an hour and play penalties.
Yeah. But did he decide that, or is that just the psychology of his team? Because maybe he just went. We're winning this now, because at 90 they've been battering us for 10 minutes. It was their best 10 minutes of the whole game. And it's nice to go in hindsight. One's a manager's fault and one's like the managers caused these two things. Yeah. We had a lot of luck. We did. We were intense, and the intensity of our youngsters maybe helped us a little bit. But we scored from a set piece and without any other open play chances. And they should have ripped us because they got some really big open play chances, and we won because they're Chelsea and we always screw Chelsea.
I think as well for a second, imagine if you're a Chelsea player and the opposition have taken off their best penalty taker, McAllister.
Yes.
They haven't got Gakpo on. They haven't got Konate on. Their only sort of senior players left are Van Dijk and Endo, because Robertson's off as well. So you're looking at that team, you go, do I fancy myself with Fernandes, with they
have a lot of shit players as well.
Yeah, but and Kunku, do you fancy yourself in a penalty shootout with a bit more experience than those young players? Because there's a number of players that, as a Chelsea player, you may not have actually heard of before. The answer, just inevitably, right? And you go, if we go to penalties, I back ourselves, not just because I back myself normally, but because I think we've actually got an advantage here because of who we're playing against. I think that just as a player, that may sort of...
It's a really interesting angle.
That's not bad, but is that not what Si said about buying the right characters? So we've got characters go, I back myself to beat you in the game.
There is, if you look across history in a lot of competitions, there is... Gary Neville he was talking about this narrative without ever talking about this thing. The naivety brings confidence in a lot of cases. So not even just confidence, absolute self-assurity. If you've got the right kind of kid, that they aren't fearful of missing because they know they're going to score because they've always been the best in the world at their thing. Everything's gone their way. If you're a 19-year-old that plays for Liverpool, that plays for Chelsea, everything's gone your way in football your whole life. They haven't been in football enough to start failing yet. And so we talk about, experience is the thing that wins you penalty shootouts. It's just not true. There's I don't remember what it was. There was some publication that did that looked back on the age of successful penalty takers across World Cups and younger wins.
Interesting.
Just makes sense. But if just to finish this, because we've talked way too long about these managers, the Chelsea sub bench, absolute garbage. Poch would have looked down at his bench and gone, "We spent £1 billion. What are we doing?
What are we doing?
We've got no players."
Yeah. Fair place. Anyway, they are the first English team to lose 6 consecutive cup finals. Huzzah! But yeah, this match though did make me want to go and rewatch the Disney classic Miracle on Ice about the United States ice hockey team, 1980. Team of basically ragtag college kids who beat the Soviet Union in I think it was 4-3, but a tremendous Disney film actually, just a bit of American fun. But yeah, this did remind me of, this is the closest I think we'll ever see in a Liverpool context to that, the Miracle on Ice. But let's talk about that winning goal, Hamzah. Talk about how we did it. A brilliant ball in from Costas, but it's the machinations of that blocking and the checking in the 6-yard box.
Yeah, it is. To be honest, I was so sort of taken by it. I didn't even pay attention. I was more sort of concerned with the actual the celebrations.
Well, we're not going to talk about Costas' celebration. We're not going to talk about that.
I don't sort of take notes because I was so sort of taken by the goal. But yes,
that's definitely got an 18 certificate. We're not even going to talk about that.
Just to jump Hamzah here, if you're going to look for the blocking that happened in this, it didn't. That I presume it was their substitutions that caused them a problem.
You think Disasi just lost Van Dijk?
We went 3 on. No, there were 3 players, and they only had 2 markers. He at no point was he even marking him. That they were trying to align with 3 players, and Virgil ran around the front. Disasi was already on the back of the 2. And he was the one that I don't even know if he was marking him or if he was, he just saw him move. So tried to sprint to catch him up because nobody was marking him. It was surreal. Nobody is marking Virgil van Dijk after what he'd done to them in this game.
It's made all the more surreal because there are only 5 Liverpool players in their box. And the entirety of the Chelsea team is in their box.
Yeah, they've gone zone. Two marker blockers, and neither of them got anywhere near Van Dijk.
And Van Dijk just starts at the back of the pack, and really simple. As in, sometimes there's a lot of sort of complicated things that go on, but this one, he just runs straight.
In-swinger.
Yep. Yeah, the in-swinger is interesting because, like I said, generally Liverpool prefer to take out swingers. And I'm just going to get the breakdown because I checked this earlier yesterday. In terms of in-swingers this season, Liverpool have taken 58 in-swingers in the league and 104 out-swingers on sort of straight corner. But yeah, this was one of those occasions where they changed it up. And yeah, a good angle. And he beats Mudryk to the ball as well. So yeah,
that's a definition of a non-contest.
Yeah, Disasi's trying to come in, but there's you could.
Was he outside he was outside the frame of the goal, wasn't he? When he made his head, when he got the head on it, right?
Actually, there's a view behind the goal, and I'll be able to tell you. The answer is yes.
Yeah. So he scores from outside the frame of the goal with a header across the keeper. Unbelievable.
That's why it's 5%.
Right header. What a moment.
And the celebrations were pretty good.
If Thiago Silva was playing, though, he'd probably tell someone, or he might just pick up Van Dijk himself.
Well, he'll probably say, anyway, it's all politics at Chelsea.
Yeah. Not our problem, so.
Who cares? Yeah, who cares about them? Yes. Anything more? Barts, anything from you on the winning goal?
I just thought it was phenomenal. It was a great way to finish the game. Just a good timing. I mean, there's always a good time to score a goal, but 2 minutes to go. Good move. I just, once again, our captain goes his goal. I just think that's.
And I know for all the great defending and then all the brilliant clean sheets and all that, he's now got his moment in terms of, this will always be his game and his moment in that way. He was surrounded by the kids and he was the leader who scored the winning goal. It's just
not a bad week for him. No. Not a bad week. He's done it for Luton. He's got the go at the draw goal and then he's got the winning goal. I just think he's got his week.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Right, we will be back for another double header. We'll be back for Southampton and Nottingham Forest, and it'll probably be next Monday. But until then, up the fucking Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.